Hello and welcome to the Genuine Learning Blog. My name is Melissa Galasso, and today we're going to talk about a new interpretation from the Professional Ethics Executive Committee, or PEEC, of the AICPA. Now, this is actually a reissuance. They've already issued this once as a proposal, but based on the feedback provided, they wanted to re-expose some changes. And so the topic of conversation is staff augmentation. So this was reissued on September 8th. Comments are due December 8th, so a little bit of time here before we have to provide feedback. But I think it's important to provide feedback. Last time around, they only received 11 comment letters. However, they brought up some pretty important things that put us out for re-exposure. So the original proposal, which was issued in December of 2018, originally proposed that if you were performing staff augmentation, if you followed certain safeguards, you would be in good shape. However, as I mentioned, there were only 11 respondents, but one of them was NASBA, the National State Association of State Boards of Accountancy, and they stated that they did not believe that if we were just using some safeguards, that prohibited employment could be overcome. And so this is really part of the convergence project between the Professional Ethics Executive Committee and AICPA, the International Ethics Standards Board for Accountants. And so they have a standard called temporary personnel assignments, and we're trying to converge, but also obviously consider some of the issues that are unique to the United States. So what is staff augmentation? So a staff augmentation agreement or arrangement is when a firm provides human resource capital as a service to client. We sometimes call this loan staff. Basically, we have some staff available, client has a need, and we provide our staff for them to use in bookkeeping or in closing the books, etc. However, typically when we're providing non-attest services to an attest client, we are responsible for directing and supervising our staff. When we provide them as loan staff, this would now require that the client really be responsible and the staff would report to the client. So generally speaking, under the old standard or under the old proposal, they were going to be a little bit more flexible. They really reduced the flexibility here. And so now staff augmentation arrangements would generally be prohibited, right? So the general rule is you can't do them unless, and there's some very specific circumstances. First, it's an unexpected hardship, and it cannot exceed 30 days, and it's not reoccurring. Because when you think about this, if you're providing professional staff, you have familiarity threat, you have management participation threats, you have advocacy threats, you have self-review threats, lots of threats going on here. And so the rule basically says that you would not be at an acceptable level and independence would be impaired unless all of the following are met. So the first one, the staff augmentation is being performed due to an unexpected situation that would create significant hardship. So this could not be something like maternity leave, which under the prior standard would have been permitted. So this has to be an unexpected situation. The augmented staff is not expected to reoccur, right? So this is a one-off. It's only for a short period of time, and they are using the period of 30 days. So it's a rebuttable presumption that a short period of time would not exceed 30 days, but again, it is rebuttable. The augmented staff neither participates in nor is in a position to influence an attest engagement covering any period that includes a staff augmentation arrangement. And then it only performs activities that would not be prohibited by non-attest services. So we couldn't do anything that would automatically have violated the non-attest rules. And as we go through this, we are satisfied that management has an individual with SKI to supervise, right? So determine the nature and scope of activities, supervise and oversee the staff, and to evaluate the adequacy of the work that they perform. Now, that's what's in the current proposal, but there's two areas that are not in the current proposal that they want to know if they should include. And the first one is a potential affiliates exception. So as you're probably aware, most of the time when we are performing this, it's not just the client, but also the affiliates of the client. So hosting, for example, is a great issue that we experience, which is you're not allowed to provide hosting to even affiliated entities under the ethics rules. And so that would be the same here for staff aug. And some people said, well, certain affiliates it might be acceptable for. And so they are looking for feedback on whether or not there should be an exception and to what that would look like. So this was not a unanimous decision. It was kind of split. And so as a result, they're just looking for more feedback. And then AUP and attest engagement. So currently they do have an exception for AUPs, and said it would be an acceptable level and not impaired, again, if it's not related to the subject matter of the AUP. However, some people on PEEC believe that we should expand that to not just AUPs, but any attest engagement, which now includes direct engagements, it includes assertion-based examinations, and then review engagements, right? So there are now 4 levels of attest engagements now with the new SSA E21. So the example that they were looking at was SOC for cyber, right? So if you're doing SOC for cyber, in that scenario, people felt like that shouldn't prohibit you from being able to do loan staff somewhere else. So in this scenario, what they're looking at is the rules for SSAEs, and there is already some independence rules for SSAEs that are not AUPs that allow you to perform prohibited non-attest services. And so again, currently not providing an exception for anything other than AUPs, but looking for our feedback on whether they should expand it beyond AUPs. All right, so that is the quick and dirty on our staff augmentation proposal. I do think this is a hot button topic for those entities who perform these services. Now, not all firms do. So for firms who are not impacted, obviously they're not going to be as interested, but for other firms where this is a commonplace type of service provided, obviously they're going to have an interest in responding, and hopefully more than 11 comment letters will be received so that PEEC really gets a good understanding of what the impact would be and what our feedback is on those 2 other areas. So thank you so much for joining me on the Genuine Learning blog, and I hope to see you on a future blog. Have a great day, guys. Bye-bye.